Aloha, this is Leimomi Keliikuli, Psychic Mrs. Mentor, coming here from the beautiful island of Big Island of Hawaii. And I'm actually here at beautiful Waikoloa Beach where I live, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Definitely, I live in paradise. I'm actually really excited to share with you the Monetize Your Business Gifts type quiz that I actually made recently because I realized that everyone doesn't truly understand how to connect with their divine gifts. And normally, when you are in alignment with it, you do feel good, but there's just something like pieces of yourself that doesn't feel like it's in alignment fully. And I can tell you that's probably because you're not really aligned to your true gifts of value. And so, in this quiz that I've made, I hope you can follow along. And it's a quiz that is meant to help you to uncover your strengths and weaknesses and the energy you bring actually to the world, and discover what you really truly value. And do what you love without feeling guilty, because that's really what your soul's energy is made of. And once you discover actually your value and your gifts and live it and gain the confidence to deliver that value, you'll actually attract your more ideal clients and build a community like based on making that impact and truly creating what you desire in your life. So if you follow along the quiz, you answer the questions that most resonate with you. And through answering those questions, I really hope you can uncover, your desires, because those desires are really your divine gifts. So I wanted to share a little bit more about the different types once you have actually taken the quiz. There's actually three types: the success-driven creative leader, and the second type that is conscious spiritual seekers, and the third type that is heart-centered peacekeepers. So when I was working with a lot of my clients, I noticed that there is a pattern that I'm seeing, that every soul is truly made of in a certain way. And one kind of soul that I found is the type of the success-driven creative leader type. And so these souls are really about creating and grounding and like manifesting and organizing, systemizing, leveraging and leading any kind of movement that they're really passionate and joyful about. And they really thrive in being part of what they are passionate about. And so these gifts are actually really grounded in a way where this soul is really able to give good, practical, grounded advice and wisdom that's very much more actionable. So, if you notice that this kind of soul, they love to travel, they love to meet new people, and they're really actually very good experts in their field. And they really do need to learn to be more patient with themselves because they are so action-packed and they're like always moving and doing something. And normally, this kind of soul really has this interesting relationship with money, sex, and relationships. It really challenges them and also intrigues them in so much ways. They are very real and down to earth. But they also tend to absorb other people's energies into their body. They're more like a grounded manifester, and they tend to attract people, places, and things in their life to get any of their goals completed. And their gift is really in the sensing and just knowing without reason. And it's always about creating and building something. They're really good at creating a team, or they're very motivating. But they tend to overwhelm themselves a bit because they can be a bit of a perfectionist and overly responsible for others or things that they really are passionate about. And so they really need to have the ability to just let go and make their own time freedom without feeling guilty, because they tend to be this very hard worker, always doing something, and they really need to make time to just like do nothing instead of analyzing and keeping themselves up at night. They really don't like drama, and they tend to be in a lot of draining relationships, and just because they're so driven in their work, that they kind of forget about their reality, and being able to have deep personal relationships with their family, which is very important. But they're really driven about, like, I would say, like, driven at doing their divine work and getting it out there, because they're just so passionate. Like, if I could explain this type of purpose and of their divine gift, they're just really joyfully passionate about what they're doing in their work. So this kind of perfectionist type of personality just means that they need to learn how to be in the flow, and actually really learn how to create better boundaries in their relationships, actually with themselves, and try not to overdo things. So these are usually typical souls that I see that are like intuitive business experts, or marketers, or networkers, or success and health and business, life coaches, travel agents, or CEOs, creative leaders, financial advisors, or professionals. And they are really here where they bring their unique way of bringing peace into the world by their own inner peace. And that is actually by doing their divine work. And when they're really present, they're really, really present. That they have to like learn how to just stop. And when they stop, they actually really appreciate the beauty, the art, the joy, the passion, the perfection. And it really makes them totally speechless, because they realize that, this beauty is also what they are. And really, by owning their value which in the doing of their divine work, is where they actually find their inner peace. And they usually don't think of it as necessarily being peaceful, because they're always in action. But actually, they are actually have a very inspiring focus, and they show us by being, which is being like my work and taking action, actually allows them to make huge changes in their mindset and lifestyle. And this is actually where they experience their peace of mind. So they're more about building and moving through helping others through the experience of a lifestyle business of fun and of passions of working in their business. And their community that they truly value is actually in their divine work, and impacting in a way of giving experiences to their clients that are aligned to their passions also. So, really from now on, if you are this soul, really take the time to feel not guilty about this desire to get your passions out there. Because actually, when you really step into that, that's where you find your inner peace. And by sleeping well, meditating, and eating nutritious foods and exercising, this actually circulates your energy and actually brings you more balance when you're actually in that state of inner peace, because that is actually what you're here for. You're really meant to help motivate and inspire in a way, in a grounded, more appearance. And then there's the type 2, that is the conscious spiritual seekers. They're really all about truth and freedom and empowerment and free-flowing and creative energies, is what really makes them thrive. And the freedom artists at heart, they're usually a spiritual energy worker who sees the truth and wisdom in others. And they need to be sure to regroup themselves a lot by spending a lot of time in nature. And by doing that, it actually keeps them grounded and authentic in their business. They tend to be also very good manifestors, and they manifest super quickly by the conscious intention. And they just love empowering people, leading a group or personal transformations. and like expressing their own inner wisdom and truth. Because true freedom is actually their number one goal in their lifestyle business. It's because they're always like full of ideas and have spiritual tools at their disposal. And they're adding a lot of value in their business by doing things that are very free flowing, and at ease in doing their divine work. And by doing that, that's what they feel called to do and inspired to do it. That is when they actually create and monetize their divine gifts, because through they're always seeking this freedom and looking to find truth in all that they do, and that inner wisdom actually is what drives them to manifest more time freedom for themselves. So this gift is really about sharing their inner wisdoms and inspirational stories about their life and life experiences. And when they're like reading or channeling or writing or speaking, they're the most happy, because they're actually very visual in nature, and they may hear messages and catch this inner knowing. And so their gift is actually of the unseen and being in touch with the energies of nature and the laws of the universe. And they love to transform and empower people to be the best that they can be. They actually move people through the thought and mind, and are able to help people change their limiting mindset and introduce new ways of being. Just by speaking about that inner wisdom, it really helps people to awaken to their gifts in that way. So their gifts is actually in their words, and they actually move people to work with them through their words. It's just so natural to them that they know that knowledge, inner wisdom, and creating and making their content and letting that flow through them is actually what allows them to express like everything in their life and business. And they need to actually just stand in front of the right audience in order to share their truth and wisdom. So it's very important that they're speaking and channeling to a particular community. And they need a bit more structure, actually, and systems in their life. And that's where they actually kind of have a hard time with, is the ability to kind of create structure, because they just can get very lost in their own spiritual nature, and in a sense actually also have a hard time marketing themselves, because I mean, how do you market yourself with only a few words, So these kind of souls may have trouble with that, and pricing their gifts, and packaging it and owning their value in that way. And their desire really is to have time freedom, a time freedom type of lifestyle business. And typically I see this with spiritual intuitives or creatives or visual artists or speakers or writers, spiritual teachers, visionaries, or professionals that are really here to bring peace in the world by their self-expression and their own unique, authentic voice of their inner truth and wisdom. And that is actually where they find their inner peace. And that peace they find a lot in nature, because it's that perfection of just self-expression and being. It really moves them into this authentic, free-flowing, and at ease type of consciousness, right? They're here really to bring consciousness to the world and remind people to, see beyond the truth and empty themselves of being non-attached, and owning their own inner wisdom and finding that peaceful acceptance inside. And when they're in that kind of flow, they really actually appreciate love, truth, freedom, power, and wisdom. And when they're sitting in that space, they're just in awe and speechless. So by them owning their value, which is in doing their own divine self-expression and sharing their own inner truths and wisdom, is where they actually find their inner peace. Because usually, we don't think it's necessarily peaceful, because, for this soul, they think they're just wasting their precious time, like whether they're writing or reading or they're talking and having conversations all the time. But it's actually through that when they find that inspiring focus of their own self-expression is what actually allows them to make huge changes in their ways of being, and also changes in those who they work with, because actually it's the words and the way of different thinking is actually the new ways of self-expression that allows them to find their own peace of mind. And they're really, inspired and move people through awakening, their lifestyle business of freedom and self-expression. And that is what they truly value, and how they should create their tribe and community about valuing divine self-expression and impacting in a way that's inspirational awakenings for their clients to align to their own truth and wisdoms. So really, they really need to get in touch with their own self-expression by sharing their inner wisdom and truth, and be in nature, and don't feel guilty about that need to be peaceful and be in nature. Because that sacred self-care by taking long walks in nature, journaling, channeling, writing, reading, and doing activities that allow them to feel their true freedom of self-expression in every level of their life, that is really where they find their inner peace. And then there's the type 3 that are the heart-centered peacekeepers. And they are really all about love and sacred space and harmonious relationships, healing, family values and empathy, networking, and sharing universal laws and ethic energies is what they really thrive in. They seek peace in actually through relationships. They love spending time like making those kind of lasting friendships and relationships that are deeply authentic and loving connections. And their loving spiritual wisdom and principles that they share with other people is actually always admired, because they are just very magnetic, and their presence actually attracts people to them, and they always find themselves always being surrounded by people. I think for me, I've always been that kind of type. I'm definitely always around many people. So in this kind of soul in their business, they're always actually reminding people of the loving sacredness of their beings, and help people feel whole, and even through what they've experienced, just sharing those experiences is how they really help others. And usually, all the time, they always find complete strangers actually flocking and talking to them and telling them their whole life stories, because it's like as if they are just this open-hearted people that self-express, and through that open-heartedness, that's how people actually are able to release their authentic voice and the challenges that they're going through. And really, this type is a very natural healer at heart, and if they don't do it professionally or informally, they're just natural at it. They hold this actual like sacred space type of energy to help people to heal themselves without actually having to say any words. And all they do is they just listen. They just listen and listen, because they're always following their heart and emotion. It's actually what inspires people to get in touch with that authenticity. And by doing that more in their business, that authentic voice is where they really truly shine. And they're actually always like the peacekeepers, the mediators that actually keeps relationships together in a business. And they're always building and gathering people around them, and they're always about creating that harmony, not upsetting the balance. And they're gifted empath. They actually feel beyond the words that people are sending, and they tend to be a bit emotional, and they might feel too much and take on responsibilities of others more than they need to, because they're just so empathetic in nature. And sometimes they can feel very empty actually through all of that, and feel a bit lonely, because they tend to nurture their family, their friends, and their clients, and they tend to forget about their own goals and they sacrifice themselves for the sake of pleasing other people. They may even need to actually create better boundaries and systems in order for them to really stand in their own truth. And that can actually also lead to a lot of resentment if they don't really take that time um, to create the right boundaries and relationships so that they get more in return than what they give, right? They're always like working hard, and they really need to manage and leverage their time better because they're always like on time for helping other people. And and because of that, they might not feel very worthy or might feel salesy in their conversations whenever they're asking for money, because like when we talk about really being connected to someone, like we don't necessarily talk about money. So for this kind of soul, they really actually run their whole business on referrals, and they really just need to help balance their family relationships and their business work, because otherwise they can get distracted by taking care of other people, and whether it's their family needs or their clients' needs, and they really need to separate themselves from their own needs also, because balance is the key to their success in a way. And we typically see this with energy workers and energy spiritual healers and spiritual teachers and consultants and very compassionate, intuitive empaths and relationship and life coach professionals. Their unique way of how they bring peace into the world is through their peace and love, through loving self-expression and peace in their relationships. Their authentic true love with themselves is actually what allows people to be at ease with themselves and also with others. And they really bring love to the world, and they're very neutral. They help people to accept the wholeness of themselves, and their own self-loving nature is what they really strive in their business. And they have to remind people to really love themselves and detach from relationships, and through this compassionate, loving acceptance. And when they're in that flow and they're in appreciating such love and balance and sacredness and empathy, that compassion and joy and peace, they really feel very speechless and at awe. When they really own their value, which is in doing their own divine loving compassion, and share their peace and love in their relationships, is where they find their own inner peace. And usually they need to make huge changes for themselves, because through that change, that's where they really find their own inner peace. And they're really inspired to move people to moving into this empathetic and compassionate and lifestyle business of love. And their devotion is actually in building connections and working in their business and building the community of that value of loving connections, and impacting in a way of giving compassion to their clients that are aligned to their loving, harmonious relationships. So when they really step into the energy of love and nurturing others and sharing their own self-acceptance, then they can really get in touch with their wholeness of their own being without feeling guilty, and then that's when they find their peace inside. So when this soul is really good at their own sacred self-care and show loving and compassion to themselves first, by taking long baths or massaging themselves, or not worrying about other people's issues, and allowing themselves to feel nurtured and be loved and compassionate at all levels in their life, that is actually when they're the most happiest. So I hope that I really enlightened you a lot about your divine gifts and your own unique divine energies, because these are the things that there are particular souls that are made of more of these energies, and this is actually these values and what you are leading your tribe into is truly part of your divine gifts. So I hope that this has enlightened you in such a way where you can now be very much at peace with your own divine gifts. And I hope that you can share with me about what type you are. you can share with me your primary and your secondary type, and this will really give you an idea of maybe what your divine gifts is all about and how to monetize from it. So I'm so grateful that you're here and that you got to learn so much more about yourself, and I'll see you I'll see you in the next video. All right, signing off, Leimomi Keliikuli, psychic business mentor. Bye bye.